Good morning, Super Kicking In with Steven fans. A little bit earlier today for your viewing pleasure as we celebrate Easter today. So happy Easter to all those who celebrate that. We got a lot of news to talk up, but we're proud to be here, ready to talk it up. Greg, how are you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm good, man. Happy Easter. Lots of going on in our world. Looking forward to chopping it up with you about it. But first of all, happy Easter and all the things. And yeah, let's get it cracking, man.
Yeah, let's just get right into it. We're gonna kind of talk all fair for a second, where we said we're gonna do some our WWE news first, get our WWE recaps together, then do the AW news because I think both pieces of news that came out this week, Greg, were big on their own. So we want to make sure we give plenty of time to all that. But the big news, of course, across kind of the sports world, it should have been, but uh, WWE's been sold. That happened as of Monday. I don't know if it's totally been finalized, but it's all there. And, I think they got to put all the final pieces together. But Endeavor is a conglomerate of, company or whatever, has UFC, WWE. They will be under the same umbrella for about a 21 billion. Yep, that's billion with a B. Dollar global live sports and entertainment company. I believe the big thing was Vince McMahon originally bought WWE, WWF at the time under his dad for $1 million. That's an M, and now he sold it for $9 billion. That's a nice turnaround, Greg, on a product. But first off, I think the big thing is he's back. that's I think that's the biggest thing we have to think about. How much control is Vince going to do? I thought Raw, Greg, had his paw prints all over it, and then SmackDown, it didn't seem as much. Um, and even night 2 of WrestleMania, I don't know, just seemed a little bit different than night 1. So we'll have to see if Vince, he's always talked about, hey, he doesn't want to be in the weeds as much, Greg, but the weeds are looking good to him now. So I think that's the biggest thing we have to think about. I said all along, I think really it doesn't really matter where they go to get sold. I think it's all about the TV deals coming up and what happens creatively, um, hiring wise, like what happens behind the scenes, and how that affects the product on the screen. Obviously, that Saudi Arabia group, yes, would have probably been the worst idea ever. So I'm glad they didn't go that route. But this Endeavor company, you could do some crossover between UFC, between WWE. I know you're an MMA guy, so that's some crossover fans. You could try to, you've had plenty of UFC talent come through. Ken Shamrock, Riddle was one. Shayna Baszler, did some
Yeah.
stuff. Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar ended up going to UFC. Dan Severn, the Beast, way back in the day.
Yep.
Him in the famous Lions Den match between him and Owen Hart. So this isn't it's not a totally new idea, but you have somebody like Conor McGregor who's always talked about doing something with WWE. So now that probably opens that door more. What the guy that won last night retired, Greg Jorge, um,
Masvidal.
and who's to say maybe he's retiring from UFC to trek the waters elsewhere. We already saw the crossover between UFC and AEW, with Dan Lambert. So that's that might
Mhm.
that probably cuts that out there. Paige Van Zant, she looked like she was getting ready to mix it in the ring. So who's to say she doesn't show up, Greg? But I think my biggest qualm is how much control has Vince had, because WWE was on such a momentum roll. They didn't necessarily lose it, Greg, but there's that the clouds are starting to form. That people are starting to wonder about it. So give us your own take. I kind of rambled on a little too much there, but you can give your thoughts and then we'll bounce back and forth.
Yeah, yeah. It is huge, huge news. And I guess of all the groups that were rumored to be willing or in the running to buy WWE, this is probably the best outcome.
Yeah.
WWE and UFC have been living parallel lives for a long, long time. Just to give you the quick history lesson on the UFC and how similar it is, they were formed in 1993, and it was pretty niche, pretty underground. There were no weight limits, no rules. That was their original tagline.
Yeah.
And put the two guys in the cage and let them pulverize each other. And people didn't like it. The government didn't like it. It was just labeled human cockfighting was the most popular term for it. It was not regulated. It was not sanctioned. And so it kind of had that uh, like cult following, kind of only the small group of people over here really loved it. And it's like, no, you don't know this thing. And it was stigmatized about that, but be a bunch of meatheads and, you know, just too barbaric for regular TV. And it got a little run on ESPN or a random cable network when they had nothing else to put on, but it was shunned very, very highly. So that was from its formation in 1993, and around 2000, they were literally going out of business. And the Fertitta brothers and Dana White came in and bought the UFC for $2 million.
Okay.
So there's the parallel. They bought it for $2 million, and like I said, the UFC was going out of business. They couldn't afford to pay the athletes, and they were bleeding money. So the Fertitta brothers bought it. They decided to, make it completely on the up and up. They got it regulated, appointed athletic commissions, did the drug testing, did everything to show we are a legitimate sport. And the most genius thing they did was create a TV show called The Ultimate Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And that way it was going to kind of repair the reputation of them just being a bunch of meatheads, a bunch of, jocks that were just, barbarians. And by doing that, they took about 20 guys in two different weight classes and put them in a house to live together and fight. And through a tournament style system, they would crown a champion. That champion would get a UFC contract. And the guys they chose was brilliant casting. It ended up being probably about half the guys in that house ended up in the UFC Hall of Fame or going to be shoe-ins for the Hall of Fame. And by doing that, it was put on ESPN, and the other tie-in with the WWE. The original season of Ultimate Fighter was broadcast right after Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
But Vince McMahon needed to sign off on that to allow the UFC to be put on after Monday Night Raw, even though it was like 11 o'clock time slot. And, Vince had seen this as competition and said, no, we may not have a UFC. But he said yes, and it was shown after Monday Night Raw, and it exploded. And that was the relaunch of the UFC to what we have today. And in 2016, WME bought the UFC for $4 billion. So it went from buying it for $2 million to selling it for $4 billion. So there's the parallel with WWE on, the explosion and the amazing return on investment. And now with both of these giants under the same umbrella, you have real fighting over here, you have the scripted, fighting over here. There's going to be definitely some crossover, and you're looking to see how much and who benefits the most. Endeavors the Endeavors is going to have 51% of the control, while the rest of the stock is going to be 49% on the WWE side. So, kind of the UFC brass is kind of in charge, but it's all owned by WME, and I'm for it because, like I said, WWE does huge numbers, UFC does huge numbers. They just had a huge pay-per-view last night that showed up in Miami, and I'm sure it did a great gate. It was a great fight card, and they do amazing numbers off a pay-per-view model. The pandemic really relaunched them in the sense that it was the first sport to start again during the pandemic. And since there were no other sports going, people tuned in, and it gained a lot of new fans just because of that, because we were jonesing for some sports and there was nothing on, and UFC was the first to come out and go, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to create our own bubble. We're going to create our own facility, and everybody who comes in is going to get tested through the nose, literally and figuratively, and make sure everybody gets in is clean, and we're going to have some fights. And it was done in an empty arena, and they had some huge bangers, and that kind of multiplied their viewership just by doing that. And since then, it's continued to take off. So I love it. There's a couple things I'm concerned about as far as, especially with the pay-per-view model. I mean, we may be going back to, honest pay-per-views. Like, one UFC fight, like last night's fight was $80 if you wanted to buy it by itself. And the thing is that millions of people will buy it. And, $80 times a million going into your pocket. I mean, hello. And they know that on the opposite side, they have just as many fans on the WWE side, but are they going to go back to that pay-per-view model? How many people are going to pay for it? Yeah. So that's the biggest thing I'm concerned about. Vince is back as the chairman of the board for the WWE side of things. And we're curious to see how much input into the show and things he's going to have. I thought Raw was unspectacular. SmackDown was really, really good. Knowing how good the Raw at the WrestleManias have been, this last one was kind of disappointing. But, this is the new season, so I'm excited to see what they're going to build from it. But
now we have the draft coming, so I almost wonder if we're holding off on stuff.
It could be, yeah.
We didn't see any call-ups. We saw Riddle back. Now they did say in a few weeks, so it makes you wonder, will that be set probably after Backlash? I think we're going to carry through Backlash and then maybe going into the whole Kings and Queens tournament. Even then, you almost wonder if you want to wait it after that, because you're probably going to have Raw and SmackDown kind of mixed in. I think that's the thing too, Greg. Yeah. When they do the split, will we go back to some of the brand split pay-per-views or live events? Will maybe Raw get something and then SmackDown? But it feels like they're just going to stick to the biggest thing. Survivor Series is going to be a 4-man team, or War Games might come back. SummerSlam will probably just be across the board. Now it also sounds like the TV deals aren't up till next year, Greg. So I would assume we're still going to get everything on Peacock, but it does make you wonder. Somebody I've seen some people talk about ESPN factor. Could Disney and ESPN step in, and then maybe stuff goes on ESPN Plus. Which I guess if we went to pay for, we buy ESPN Plus to still get the pay-per-views, I can bite that bullet. I don't really think I need ESPN Plus, but hey, if that's where, now for their interface is just as bad as the Peacock one, Greg. So hopefully, we could finally get a good. I mean, it just still makes you sad for the days of the network where you, like you said, we've talked about before, you could just type in a match, type in a wrestler, go to different moments. And man, I mean, they had, it's too bad, they just couldn't stick with that. But obviously money talks and it went to Peacock. But let's get into WrestleMania real quick. Or do we have anything else from there, Greg, from the sale? I mean, it's just a wait and see mode, isn't it, really?
It is, really. It's going to be, how's this going to play out, and how's this going to re-show itself on TV. I knew Vince was going to be the man in charge with the boardroom side of things, because he's the principal stockholder. He has the most money in it, and he has the most shares. So that was
He never wanted to leave anyway. I mean, let's just
right.
face it.
So stay there and handle the business side, and it's just when he starts to leak into the creative side and doing the cuts and things like that, like he was doing before he was forced out. That's where the rubber's going to hit the road for us as fans. The good thing, I think, working in our advantage is that he hasn't settled the scandals that are going around him. I know he settled with the one referee, I think, but there's still a handful of lawsuits out there that still need to be settled. And
could play a
that
part, you think?
exactly, and that's going to, I think, play a role in his getting integrated back into WWE completely, because Endeavor is not going to want to have their name brought into the Vince McMahon mess. So I think
Especially with such a new kind of endeavor.
exactly. So I think that's the one thing working for us. But we're going to see, because if there's Vince McMahon changes in it, they're going to be really obvious really soon. So
Yeah. Let's just kind of look at NXT, Stay and Deliver. We didn't really talk. We don't need to, hit every single thing, Greg. But Chase U won. I guess the big news there was possibly, grizzled young veterans are asking for their release. No real, no confirmation, Greg. But that was going around. That doesn't really surprise me, does it?
no, they weren't getting used very well, and lately I've been used at all.
Characters they are. So,
Yeah.
Duke Hudson came out looking like the MVP, and he will get his MVP trophy, I guess, or his MVP award next week on NXT. How about Indy Hartwell, Greg? That was the big surprise, I think, of the whole evening. I did not see her winning, so she beats Roxanne, Gigi, Zoe Stark, Lyra, Akira. The big news there too was JC Jane coming back, sorry, Dexter Loomis helping her. We're never going to get away from that, are we, Greg? We're always going to keep Dex Index, together. So, quick thoughts on Indy Hartwell winning the title and kind of stepping up to the plate now.
Yeah, surprise of the whole show, and props to her. I hope this gives her some a legit push, and we get to see how good she really is, because she's just been kind of meh this whole run. But she needs to get better on the mic. She needs to get better, um, with her in ring. But as champ, I think she's going to show out a little bit more, show off more what she can do. And I think the biggest thing is they probably don't think she's ready for the main roster yet. She has the size, she has the, a good look to her, but everything else needs to be put together too. So I think, one more, year down in NXT to sharpen her skills before she calls up was a good idea.
You think that means we're fast tracking Roxanne?
Yeah, I think right now Roxanne doesn't have a country as far as a legitimate rival, um, feud to chew on for a while. So she may be one of those call ups or somebody who's drafted out of NXT. She's she would fit on the main roster right now. So I think that's where that's going.
Give some fresh life to it. So, Gallus won with the return of Joe Coffey or Mark, whichever Coffey, Greg, but he must got all of his work stuff, visa issues sorted out. So Gallus is whole. We'll kind of see what they can do. Wesley retained. Dragon Lee looks like everything he was going to do in that match, Greg. He looks like the real deal, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably best match of the night to me.
Yeah.
Just it was high spot heaven, but it was a great match from beginning to end. Like I said in our preview show, Wesley wins. I'm going to be disappointed, but I got to give him his props. He really showed off um, his improvement. I saw some stuff in this match that I hadn't seen in his previous matches, and so I'm not hating on it as much as I was before. Um, he's showing me that he's really stepped into his own and
Yeah.
is a legitimate singles wrestler now to where he was trying to be a great tag wrestler, and the whole MSK thing was not registering with me at least. But
And like we said, they were that's all he's known. So it's kind of cool to see him step out of that. So Gargano won. We kind of saw that coming. Cool to see Candice LeRae because baby Gargano was not feeling it, Greg. I'm glad they got. I felt kind of bad. I was like, okay. I'm like, man, that baby is like, we got to get. So luckily they had somebody there. I don't know, maybe sister, whatever relative there, friend there to kind of get the baby out of the way and let Candice take some shots in. So and then they get to celebrate with. I really thought Ciampa was going to come out to celebrate with them at the end, Greg, but it ended up being Dexter Loomis and Indy Hartwell, and it was awesome to see how happy Candice LeRae was for Indy Hartwell. Like that was probably the shot of the night, and so that was pretty cool to see that. Any thoughts on that? I mean, just Grayson Waller's getting called up. Are we I think he might be in the draft too.
Yep, I agree. He's ready. He's definitely ready. His character, he's evolved the most, I think, of everybody that came in with the 2.0 era.
Yeah.
And he's really, from coming out as, a boxer to, the social media, Mr. Viral, and everything, his evolution has been the most complete, I think. And he's the most ready, aside from Carmelo, he's the most ready for, the big stage, the spotlight on the main roster. So, I definitely think he's going to be a call-up.
Yep. Alba Fire and Ela Dawn won. We kind of saw that coming. We're still, not totally seeing where the fallout is for Kiana James and Fallon Henley, but we're starting to, seeing the cracks. Remember, I think in this one, the big thing was Jensen would not give her the bag to use. So that kind of came into play on Wednesday night as well with that idea that, Kiana James trying to splinter it and all this. So Alba Fire and Ela Dawn, we'll see how they do. And then Carmelo Hayes, new NXT champion. But then we saw Tuesday night, Greg, a little change of the guard between the two. So, not that I guess that was the thing. Like, I wasn't really sure where Carmelo Hayes was. Is he a face? Is he a heel? But now I think the battle lines are drawn. So, really solid match for Carmelo Hayes and good moment for him. The nice, cool Lakers touch to his name I thought was pretty awesome to see that, but good solid match between the two. And now I guess we'll see, where things go with, like I said, a pure face and a pure heel in Braun Breakers. So what do you think about the final match there, Greg, of the night?
Yeah, it was an awesome match. Really enjoyed it. Told a great story, and did a great job of showing both of them being this close to victory. And I thought Breaker was going to retain, and it was nice to see Carmelo get the win. He deserves it. He definitely deserves it. And the follow up with them flipping roles and Brian going heel by taking him out. I love that, and see how they do with the roles reversed. And I'm looking to see what heel Braun looks like. I mean, we've had this good babyface Braun since the inception of 2.0, and I want to see this other side, see his character development, his depth.
I guess that's good to get him that side too before you call him up.
Exactly.
Kind of decide which way. His dad did him no favors over the weekend, Greg, there with his dad getting kicked out of WrestleCon. So I don't know if that was a
Oh,
little
really?
issue too. Yeah, um, he made some comments for a wrestler and not very good comments. They asked him to leave and not come back the rest of the weekend. So
Wow.
that was the big wrestling convention with the Young Bucks there. Just every big star that wasn't at Mania, pretty much. So yeah. Let's hit up some WrestleMania talk because we didn't really get a chance to talk this up, Greg. But our predictions weren't as great as I thought they would be for WrestleMania Night 2. We both did say Brock would win. We saw that. Uh, it was definitely the sight to see when Brock lifted him up and hit the F5.
Yep.
Really quick match. Well, I guess not super quick, but quick enough. So Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler won. How about Gunther retaining? I thought that was, they're really going to push him. I guess Triple H is all about the numbers game, Greg. Because now we're seeing Roman heading towards 1,000. Are we going to maybe see Gunther break the Honky Tonk Man's record?
Hey, why not? He's worth it. I mean, and I gotta give myself to Barry Horowitz because I called this one exactly that Gunther pins Drew
Mm-hmm.
and leaves him and Sheamus to go drown their sorrows together.
Yeah.
So that happened, and Gunther is that dude. I mean, he's worthy of the taking that longest reign title from Honky Tonk Man, and I hope he does because I never liked Honky Tonk Man to begin with,
Yeah.
and it's just a lame gimmick to me, but Vince loved it, and
Of course,
everyone else loved it apparently.
back then, it's all about the characters. So yeah, it doesn't really
Yeah,
surprise me that. But it was, I guess it's you think of all the people that were in that golden era, Greg, and I think he was the one to hold that IC title the longest. Is pretty interesting. But then again, it also probably says he was never ready to be. He was never going to be world champion.
true,
So,
true, very true.
I called this one correct though, Greg. You went with Asuka. Bianca Belair keeps rolling. I think they're, like I said, their chips are all in on her, and I think they're trying to, push her beyond, wrestling. I think that's the biggest thing for her. And man, that her entrance though with the little girls, that was really awesome. And I don't know if you saw the story we had where the youngest girl, Greg, lost her mom that morning and still wanted to, you know, perform. Now, that that's ridiculous. I mean, that's ridiculous in a good way. Like that's so amazing to
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
Like, and she's and you could tell, she's probably what 5 or 6. So obviously she probably did. It's truly not. Like if it was one of us, we can comprehend how much is going. But we've seen it before. Football players, basketball, sports athletes, great, go out there and do
hmm
it. But to
yeah,
think a little, like I said, I mean, 5 or 6 year old to do that on the day that your mom passes away. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And like I said, that entrance was, I mean, her entrance was awesome. So, um, well,
yeah.
what about your hot Asian girlfriend? What are you gonna opine for us on that end, Greg?
Oh man, yeah. Props to the little girl. I mean, holy crap. I mean, it's one thing for a grown man, grown woman to pull through after a parent passes, but yeah, to for a 5-year-old to do that and still, have that resolve in her to go out and still perform and with a big smile on her face, and yeah, that blows my mind. So, props to her, and praise to her for her healing, and uh, to her family for getting through it. But that's an amazing story. Um, and then so I haven't had to do this for a while, but going into the closet, and I'm gonna dust off the hashtag. There it is, justice for Oscar.
There you
Read
go.
it,
You're in the
read
camera,
it.
yeah.
Hashtag justice for Oscar, because what was the whole idea of reinventing her character and the new persona if they're not going to pay it off and show that depth, show what they're trying to portray with this new character revival, and only to have her go to the title match. And it was a great match. It was a fantastic match, and have her lose. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And I trust Triple H with Asuka's gimmick. She went
If it's him.
undefeated for what 800 days or something like that,
Yep.
between NXT and her main roster arrival, and now to do this work with her and not have it pay off. I don't understand what the point is, and I don't like it. She's much better than what we've been seeing until very very recently. So hopefully she takes the strength of this WrestleMania match and carries that forward, and we get something out of her character that we haven't been seeing. I mean, just having her kind of look at people and spit miss is not good enough. I need more from her, and she is so much capable of so much more than what we've been seeing. So, I'm putting Triple H on the spot, and if Vince is involved in putting him on the spot, we need justice for Asuka because she needs to be at the top of the card, and she's not being treated the way she should be, the way she deserves to be.
And whoever had Snoop Dogg defeating The Miz on their bingo card, congrats to you. You made some money. The big story there, Greg, was these damn McMahon quads are the worst quads ever. Now, when Shane did that leap, I was like, holy crap. And then when he landed, I was like, well, there it is. So, I mean, he went extra high on that. And, it's, Chris Jericho tells the story of Shane McMahon. I think it was that Survivor Series match where he just came in ablazing, and Jericho had to hit him with a legit kick, drop kick to say, hey, you need to slow down. So whatever reason, Shane is always amped up, Greg. But props on Snoop Dogg to improvise in the moment. He didn't have any headset out there, Greg, so nobody was calling him to do that. So luckily he kind of did it real quick. You had The Miz, who's probably pretty good on calling things on the fly too. So we got that happening. I'm going to assume we're not going to see Shane back anytime soon. So I don't know if he was going to be back, Craig, for whatever time, but he is going to pull Vince McMahon and have to go back to the IR for a bit because he definitely pulled something or tore something or whatever he did there. So I think we'll just move along from that moment there. Correct?
Well, it was definitely the unscripted moment of the night for sure.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of introducing my girlfriend to wrestling and explaining things as we go, and we get to this match, and Shane comes in, Mr. Surprise, and that just talks about that WrestleMania adrenaline that people get. You can practice and work out and get ready, for as long as you want to, but when you pop out there and the place blows up and there's 80,000 people in the building, you can imagine what that adrenaline rush must be like. And I'm sure that's what Shane was feeling.
That's true.
And we're watching it, and like I said, he jumps, almost into the rafters, and just as it stick the landing, and as soon as he lands and goes down and grabs it, I'm like, uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
And
they couldn't even get up.
Exactly. They quickly roll him out of there, and I'm giving props to the Miz because that had to be a Miz call. I'm sure Snoop's looking and like, okay, and I'm sure Snoop is one who, or Miz is one to tell Snoop to take him out. And we're get ready to do the main event. You can't bring the crowd down by having to tend to Shane, and it's a real situation, but you need to keep it moving and keep that that energy out, cleanse that palate before the main event comes out. You don't want the crowd down. So get Shane out there as low key as possible and have Snoop take up the mantle, and he'd be the guy to do the job on the Miz. And so I give Miz 100% credit for calling that shot, because Snoop wouldn't have thought of doing that. And the way it played out, it was a little clunky, but it got the point across, and the crowd popped for it.
And gave
And
Snoop a win in WWE.
exactly, we forgot that Shane McMahon was there almost. So, show must go on.
Yeah.
So, and I was explaining that to her, and getting a kick out of it, and yeah. So, interesting moment. Definitely the unscripted moment of the night, but props to Miz and for keeping it going and playing it perfectly.
Edge picks up a win. Hell in a Cell, really solid match there. A lot of different things used. Um, no Brood entrance. We just got Brood Edge without the Brood, Greg.
Yeah.
Kind of sad to see that. I was hoping
Ooh.
they get Gangrel there. It sounded like they were trying to, but maybe things were happening. He was actually at the Square Circle Expo yesterday, Greg. Him and Christian Cage, they were doing photo ops together, and then they're on tables. So kind of cool to see Gangrel and Christian together there. I think we both picked Finn, so we were wrong there.
Yep.
Demon Finn takes a loss. I mean, it's the Edge. His 2 losses, Greg, or whatever, 3 losses. Edge and Roman. I mean, not a not a bad couple losses, but
Sure.
now we're probably not going to see the Demon for a while. But now we're almost resetting Finn, and we'll see where that goes. But yeah, anything on that end for Edge and Finn? Really good use of everything around them too, I thought.
Oh, absolutely. And great match. Enjoyed it very much. I was glad they didn't create the spot to leave the cage and do the thing on the roof. It wasn't necessary, and this isn't the type of match that would warrant something like that. So, very happy with how it played out. A banger of a match, and like I said, we wanted the Demon to win, but it's Edge, and it played out the way in a way that was we could buy it. So I'll take it.
And we were dead wrong on this one too, Greg. So apparently the word is, this was all Triple H's call. This has been decided months ahead of time. Not just weeks, not just days, not just hours, Greg, but months. So Triple H, I mean, like I said earlier, he's a big historian of the game, Greg. And so I think he really wants that number 1,000 to be something. But man, we're never gonna have a moment that, like that. I mean, Drew was close to that. With Drew McIntyre coming home, having the huge entrance, the first European pay-per-view in 30 years. And coming out to Broken Dreams, playing over, then his his new theme song, and the crowd was hot, everything was there, and I'm like, why didn't I should know, Greg, if you weren't going to pull the trigger there, you're not going to pull the trigger here. We can't, and people are like, well, what about SummerSlam? SummerSlam's too quick, isn't it? Just turn around and be like, okay, Cody, you're going to win. I mean, I think we're going all the way to WrestleMania 40, Greg. I think, and it's in Philadelphia. You can play up the Rocky story, which I think that's what they're going to try to do.
Yeah, I mean, we were all fooled. I mean, everybody, if they gave us $100. It's like, put this on your guy for the main event and give us odds. I think all of us would have picked Cody because the writing was on the wall, the narrative been written, it was all there, and you had the fractures that had been going on for a long time. You had all the pieces just fitting together. It just made so much sense, and I bought it, you bought it, everybody bought it, and you could tell in the faces of the people in the crowd when Roman got the pin that the whole place was stunned. And I had to go back and listen to that pop after the 3 count, but I think it was a lot more muted than it would have been had it been the other way around. So there were a whole lot more people rooting for Cody than it was for Roman. And yeah, it got me because the ending 5 minutes with the false finishes and them kicking out of each other's finishers, and like I said, that Cody finish, I predicted that where he picks him up and hits him with one crossroads and picks him up and hit him with another crossroads. Yeah. Usually it's a 3-piece that he hits him with before he gets the pin, And I was watching it. It was happening. He hit him with one, picked him up, hit him with two, and then, Uso distracts over here. Solo comes and spikes him from over there, and Roman gets it. And, we didn't get our third crossroads and a pin. So it was happening, the way he did it in AEW, and it didn't, they stopped it at 2, and that was the end of it. And I was, shocked at that finish. And I think we all were. It took a minute for it to kick in. And yeah, so it looks like they're really paying attention to that 1,000 number, since he's this close to it, with another month and a half, 2 months before he gets there. I don't get the significance of the numbers. I mean, I know it's, a number, 1,000 days. It's been, we haven't had that since the days of Bruno Sammartino or whoever. But I don't know, as long as they're not sacrificing the storyline and have a greater plan in mind as who is actually going to dethrone him, then I'm going to go with it. But yeah, they got me big time when the Cody finish didn't happen and Roman won.
And I don't think we need Cody to win the Rumble again. I think you can build him up. That's part of the, how's he going to get back there type storyline. So, yeah, I do think, Philadelphia, it's all about Rocky. So, I mean, Triple H is a big movie guy too, right? So I could see him pulling, some idea of, hey, let's make Cody a Rocky character, have to, reset himself. So, especially after Monday night, where we saw, what happened with him Monday night. So, well, we have gone on a long time, Greg. I think we need a couple commercial breaks, and then we'll get right into some Raw, NXT, and SmackDown talk. We'll probably just roll pretty quick through it, and then get into the big AEW news, which is, they're going across the pond. So that should be something to watch. So let's get a couple commercial breaks in here, and then we'll be right back for you. We are back, and let's get into some. I think we'll just kind of do some quick hits for Raw, Greg, because I mean that's kind of what it felt like. Raw was, like we said, it wasn't the Raw after Mania. This just felt like another Raw, if that. A very disjointed Raw too. I think was the weirdest thing, but let's just get into the big stuff, which is the Cody Rhodes stuff, Roman Reigns stuff, and Brock Lesnar stuff. So it started with it started with Triple H taking the universe, Greg, and all that. It's nothing's changing except everything's changing. I was like, okay. I'm just glad he didn't give the same speech on SmackDown. I was really like, I think he's gonna just give the same talk on SmackDown because you have different viewers, but whatever. So he came out and said that, and it felt like, okay, whatever. Yeah, I just don't, not much to get into because we already talked about where things are headed. So, but Cody Rhodes, came out, interrupted Roman Reigns, said, hey, I could do this. Brock Lesnar comes out to says, hey, you need a tag partner. I'm your buddy or whatever. And, we were just like, okay, we're going to see a tag match with Brock Lesnar, which I don't think we've ever, Greg, seen a tag match with Brock Lesnar. So that would have been something cool to see, I guess, in a way. But it never happened because Brock Lesnar attacked, killed, maimed, hurt Cody Rhodes in the end of it. So have at it, Greg. You tell me your thoughts on all that unfolding.
I loved it, the whole segment, with starting with the setup and um, Roman and Brock, with Roman and Paul setting it up so that you know we'll fight you in a tag match, but whoever is dumb enough to become your partner is not going to get a title shot, and really you know stacking the deck against him because who's not going to want to have a title shot? And so Brock's the perfect call because he lost his stipulation where if he lost, he didn't get any more title shots.
Yeah.
So storyline wise, it was perfect sense. And looking at that team, Cody and Brock against Roman and Solo, that was a Raw at the WrestleMania, level um, main event. So I'm just looking forward to it and seeing what it's going to look like because as long as I've been a Brock Lesnar fan, I can't remember seeing him in a tag team match. Yeah. And then we get the turn at the end of the night where he goes into beast mode literally and just destroys Cody before the match starts. And I was like, okay, thank you. I will be leaving now. And Brock just goes and decimates Cody. And I was so happy to see it because first, I've loved seeing Brock as a human and a relatable character. Just guy likes to have fun, he likes to fish, he likes to, have fun with the guys. And um, it showed that we hadn't seen this beast smile for over a decade. And you can see he was actually, having fun. His promos were, real and genuine, and he became a sympathetic character in a way, and we just related to him on a new level. We got to relate to him on a new level, especially when he and Paul Heyman's went their separate ways, and he had to do his own promos. He had to go through these rivalries by himself. Yeah. So props to
Brock back.
Yeah, I love angry, snarling, frothing at the mouth Brock. We haven't seen that in forever, and now it looks brand new. And who better than the biggest babyface on the roster right now with Cody? Cool. And now we're going to get a great rivalry out of those two. And I think it's going to be the reason to watch now because this is the beginning of Cody's road back to the championship, and this is the first, roadblock. How is he going to get through it? And it's a monster roadblock. So I am super happy about it. I'm super happy to see Brock going back to being the bad man. And, the old line of snapping necks and cashing checks. I forgot who used to do that, but, that's Brock's thing. So, eat, sleep, conquer, repeat, Brock. I think that's what we're getting now. So I wouldn't be surprised if, we get another. I would love to see Paul come back with him and, do the talking for him. He just stands there and bounces in place and froths at the mouth. But we're going to see a new level even as a heel with Brock. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Almost defeated Elias, just kind of reset him, obviously. Austin Theory defeated Rey Mysterio. Austin Theory keep moving along. Not really sure who's the next challenger for him, but I'll be curious to see where they go for him. He obviously did defeat John Cena the night before. Let's talk about the Bad Bunny stuff real quick, Greg, because it sounds like Bad Bunny might have separated his shoulder or something. So that could, call
Oh,
off the match because it looked like, we were going to get Dom and Damien versus Bad Bunny and Rey Mysterio. I'm going to assume Santos Escobar slides into that role. Hopefully, Bad Bunny can still host Backlash, maybe with some sort of sling or something, or, maybe just not have, not mention the injury. I do like how Michael Cole played it up on Friday night, saying, well, Bad Bunny is not a contracted wrestler, so he can't get his medical update, but it looks like he could be hurting. So,
hmm
or else that's a way to build up Bad Bunny in a way, but I'm fine with Escobar kind of stepping in that role. Maybe let Escobar move up finally, Greg. We saw him really do well in NXT, so it's probably time for him to start moving up the card a little bit. Finally get some high quality matches out of him. So, any thoughts, real quick, there on the Bad Bunny? And cool to see Damian Priest step up and become maybe more than just a stand around guy. Show
yeah,
his tough, his heel side as well. So
yeah, absolutely, and especially what the tie-in that he has with Bad Bunny. 2 years ago they had one of the show-stopping matches of the night. He and Bad Bunny against the Miz and was it Morrison
yeah,
and having a classic Bad Bunny showing out. But this is what happens when you bring in somebody from outside of wrestling to take bumps. They can have their training, get prepared, but there's nothing like it when you have live rounds firing, and some dude who's 6'6" has his arm around, his hand around your neck and slamming you through a table.
mhm.
So there's you wouldn't want to practice taking table bumps for days and days at a time. That's the thing you do live, and you catch your breath afterwards. And if that's true and Bunny did get injured, then that's the breaks for you. Kind of literally and figuratively. Hopefully he's okay, but there's lots of ways to play it if he is hurt, and like Michael Cole was saying, and kind of use it to build him up and have a match down the road. And it's a good way to get this LWO launched and get them some recognition with Judgment Day and present them as legitimate um, rivals. So you know, in a way, everything's going to kind of work out. There's the Latino aspect is still going to be in play, and Bad Bunny can put himself back in the mix whenever he wants to, pretty much.
Street Profits came out, challenged Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn to a fight. Obviously, they lost. I like seeing tag team champions actually win and not get the fluky, we lost, so you get a tag team title shot, Greg. I want to talk about Seth Rollins, though. What a moment. Come out and then not do anything. So, do you think he would? Do you think I'm thinking the draft is going to benefit. I think you might need to slide him to SmackDown for a little bit.
Yeah, what was that? I mean,
It sounded like the
well,
time was cut, or
it's
that sounds like I mean, that had happened. Like either his segment was cut in the middle of it,
right,
Greg, or or they just don't know what they're doing with it next. Which, why would you send him out there like that? So
right. If there was a Vince moment in the show, that was it right there. Because
yeah,
we get the same start to it that we do. He dances down to the ring, everybody sings the music, then he gets on the stick and you know, he destroys somebody in a promo. But we didn't get that piece. He just comes in, he stands in, he does the conductor thing for a second, and then he leaves like, okay, what was that? And yeah, that had Vince all over it. So if there was a Vince moment, that was the one. So it just makes you wonder what happened with, that um, the bloodline segment go too long. What happened before that screwed Seth over? So you know, behind the scenes stuff we'll probably never find out. But
but
that was weird.
do you think he slides over to SmackDown for a little bit?
He should. I mean, he's said many times that he doesn't even understand what his character is and what his purpose is. And so, he's done a great job of faking it until he's made it, and just living in the moment and doing the cackling thing and the drip and all that stuff. I would love to see him go over and just do the opposite and just leave that character behind on Raw and be something different on SmackDown. So for that purpose, I hope that that's the case.
And maybe cycling back, I feel like we're probably going to break up the Street Profits through the draft. So that way you don't need to necessarily, have them do the usual tag team split, Greg. I feel like, Montez will probably stay on Raw, and I could see Angelo going to SmackDown and kind of let them ride solo. But Bobby Lashley defeated Mustafa Ali. Another guy, Greg. I don't know what we're doing with Bobby Lashley. Yeah. Any really thoughts there, or just move ahead?
Yeah, well, the Bray Wyatt thing fell apart. I think that screwed him.
Still waiting on Bray Wyatt's status too.
Yeah, so Lashley's kind of in a holding pattern until they figure that out, or they bring up somebody in the draft. Yeah,
probably should stay on Raw. I think he fits better on Raw. So Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley cross paths. I think that would be, some people are saying that could be a WrestleMania match in the future, Greg, but we might see them cross paths probably at Survivor Series if we, you wonder if you'll go back to maybe some of the champion versus champion stuff, or, maybe Survivor Series teams. So I'm ready for that kind of showdown because, we kept talking that up anyway, Greg. So now it'd be cool to see Bianca building up herself, Rhea building up herself, and then maybe they clash at WrestleMania 40 next year.
Yep, I can see that. I mean, I was when she came out, I thought of the picture that they took with Bianca when she was champion and Rhea when she was champion. I think Charlotte when she was champion. They were all champions at the same time.
That was with Raquel, because remember they were all in NXT. Okay. Yeah, Raquel was NXT Women's Champion. Rhea was Raw, and then Bianca was SmackDown at the time because she beat Sasha.
That's it. Yeah. And that's the picture I thought of when I saw those two in the ring together. And now Rhea's leveled up. She's beat Charlotte. She's got the championship, and now she showed I'm a main event player. I'm top of the marquee, and now I'm on the same level as you. And where Bianca got a big head start. She had the championship a lot earlier, and now you can look at them as equals, and another female hoss fight waiting to happen. So it's a good preview to something that's definitely going to happen down the road.
Bianca is 17 matches away from tying the Undertaker's streak, Craig. So keep it rolling. 3-0, baby. 3-0. So we'll see if she can get to 20-0 or 21-0, but 20-0, and see if she can carry that streak. But Raquel and Liv beat Damage Control. The big story there was no Bailey. I'm thinking they're going to split up her from Damage Control. Maybe she slides over to SmackDown, or maybe they, I'm thinking that's the way to break that up without, breaking it up. So, Riddle's back, Greg. How about that? Good to see Riddle back. And we saw him step up on SmackDown in a way, kind of step into the Usos problems. So, Miz is just there to be a gatekeeper for people, it looked like, right? So, exactly. Riddle back. Any thoughts on Riddle being back and kind of his SmackDown role as well? We'll get into that.
Well, I was calling for him to be a surprise at WrestleMania, and he'll get him at the day after. I figure as long as he was, healthy and he going through whatever sensitivity training or stuff he was handling outside the ring, that this would be the moment to save him and bring him back. And I didn't think about it until they mentioned it on SmackDown, but the Usos are the reason he was off TV, and so
I forgot about that.
Bringing him back and putting him into the bloodline feud is makes perfect sense, and one more ally for KO and Sammy. Um, even up the numbers game a little bit. So I like what they're doing right there, and we get
And
to
a
see
fresh
Little
face
back.
in there, which helps.
Exactly.
So,
And we're throwing him in the mix, and there's no Sami Zayn now. Well, as a comic character anyway. So now you get to put Riddle in that slot, and maybe he begins to be the MVP of the Bloodline storyline this year.
yep. Let's get into NXT. Pretty Deadly picked up a win. Dijak picked up a win. Dragon Lee. How about Dragon Lee's singles match, Greg? Looks like like I said, I think he's going to be. I feel like they might fast track him up too, right?
Yeah, fantastic match with Frazier. Um, really impressive. It was nonstop action, nonstop motion, and he's as good as I remember in AEW, and looked like $1,000,000. Frazier looked great, so
Frazier
definitely sky's the limit for
gave
him.
a little speech in the back about he's not sure where he's going to go. Almost wonder if maybe he has to step away and go take care of visa issues. Greg, it seemed like that was a little write off for him. But Indy Hartwell got called out by Zoe Stark. She wins against Zoe Stark, but then we had Tiffany Stratton and we had a returning Cora Jade. So good to see Cora Jade back. We haven't seen her in a little bit, Greg. So I like that we're already building. We're throwing the heels at Indy Hartwell already, right?
Yep. That's what you need to do, and these girls are getting right at the right time. Um, I'm, I'm back on the bus for NXT. I think I've watched anything since they did the pay-per-view here in Charlotte, and I figured this would be a good time to get back into it and get back on the bus with NXT. So I actually sat and watched all the matches and giving them clean slate. This is the new revamp, no more 2.0 remnants, and it's getting better. Stand and Deliver was awesome, and the Tuesday after Stand and Deliver was equally as good.
Ivy Nile picks up a win. Wesley defeated Axiom. I think we also saw Scripps back in the ring. So there you go. See if he. I'm wondering if there might be a future endeavors tweet for him pretty soon, Craig, because not really sure what they're doing with Reggie / Scripps. But and then we did bring up Braun Breaker destroying Carmelo Hayes. And like you said, I think we're going to be interested to see what the heel side of Braun Breaker looks like versus the face side. But then I guess we'll also see how the face side of Carmelo Hayes is, a pure face now. So was it good to maybe switch the roles there?
Yeah, I
Just
mean,
to let them both taste the side of things and see where their character can go.
yeah, I mean, Melo's been a fantastic heel.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to miss him as a heel, but, like you said, we need those layers because, the call up's going to happen. And, on both sides can be great for both of them to see how they do with the role split. And I think for Triple H and, the powers that be to see how they're going to be with the role split. So when they come up, it's like he's going to be better as a heel. He's going to be better as a babyface. And, get that fleshed out, or that's an area for them to work on, so they can do both just as effectively. So it's a good trial for both of them. But I'm excited for the switching characters and see how they both do.
Some stuff from SmackDown. Brawling Brutes kind of back in action, letting them kind of reset with Sheamus. They defeated Imperium. So I'm gonna assume we're getting Sheamus and Gunther by themselves pretty soon, Greg. Let that play out, and let Gunther get a big win over Sheamus again. Any thoughts, kind of there, real quick?
Yeah, I agree with you. Sheamus and Gunther is money, so keep working it until you've got another contender in the queue.
Ricochet defeated Ivar, kind of, we're just doing a little rivalry stuff there. Liv Morgan, Raquel picked up a win. I guess I forgot that they're actually getting a title shot on Monday night, Craig. So there's that. I think we've all said along, we're just waiting for when Ronda and Shayna step up and get those titles
Mhm.
and see what they could do. So,
Yeah,
any quick thoughts there on Liv Morgan and Raquel pick up the win?
yeah, it's just cannon fodder for Becky and Lita. I expect nothing to come out of it. I mean, I know they didn't want Liv and Raquel to, showcase a little bit more, but
Yeah,
yeah, we know it's not
it's all
going to
about
happen.
Ronda and Shayna. So.
Yeah.
And then, like we said, Triple H was. I guess the good thing was Triple H wasn't at the beginning of the night, because I think if he was at the beginning, we probably would have got the same shtick spiel from Monday night. So, coming out announcing, I did notice it was interesting. They put WWE Hall of Famer on his little tagline. I know it's just a little production thing, Greg, but not saying CEO or WWE, president. I mean, that type of stuff.
Hmm.
It probably says a lot, but he did reveal the draft's coming back. And I think it was also interesting, saying everyone is on available. We're not going to play up the, sometimes they say, oh, this guy isn't, this guy's exclusive to Raw, this guy's exclusive to SmackDown. Everybody's available. And he did use that tagline. This will truly be a game changer. And so if it doesn't change the game, Greg, people are going to fight back those words. But so I'll be curious to see what they could do to kind of, shake up the draft a little bit, make it a little bit different, maybe make it more sports like. But um, the draft always pops a rating, though, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good way to kind of get those juices flowing. But any thoughts on the draft coming back?
I'm looking forward to it. There's tons of potential with the guys and girls in NXT who are ready to come up, with people who need a reset that are on Raw going to SmackDown and vice versa. So the possibilities are endless, and it's all about the creative making the right call and getting those juicy storylines to play out. So it's something to look forward to. We're gonna disappointment viewing, and we're all gonna be ready to you know thumbs up or thumbs down after it finishes.
Yeah. Judgment Day was out there. They defeated LWO. I think the big thing there was, Rhea and Zelina kind of getting into it. So I think that, we can maybe see 4-person, tag. Maybe we just see a 4-person tag match at,
Hmm.
Backlash instead of kind of splitting it off. But kind of cool to see Zelina get those moments too every once in a while, Greg, because she can go in the ring. She's fiery, she's spicy, can kind of like a Sasha Banks size, but
Hmm.
her and Rhea, that's like the big and little mashing up. So it's always a good visual. But I'm okay with a little 4-person tag match happening, or tag match, whichever direction they want to go.
Yeah.
As far as the Judgment Day and LWO, because Judgment Day are already on another level. Now it's time to build up the LWO. So, any thoughts there?
I'd love to see Ray take a Godfather-ish type role with the LWO.
Yeah.
If you remember TNA and them doing the LAX,
Okay.
and in the clubhouse, and Conan is the leader of,
Yeah.
or the master strategist
Okay.
for LAX, and they got Homicide Hernandez. They had the female
The
character,
heavies.
and yeah, and they were just doing the strategy session. It was real, kind of street to it, and just kind of do a version of that. And with Ray just, calling the plays, and they go out and run it,
Yeah.
and kind of play a mentorship role more than an active role. Um, I would like to see something like that, but it's a great opportunity to represent the LWO and make it legit again. So I think it has lots of potential.
And of course, Conan, inducted Ray, so could get some advice there on how to make that work. So,
Exactly.
Jay
Great to see
Uso
him back.
defeated Sami Zayn, but like we said, we saw Riddle to the rescue. So they're putting Riddle right back in the spotlight. I think it's kind of make or break though for Riddle, isn't it?
It is. I mean,
No more chances. I feel like.
it is. He needs to keep his nose clean. He needs to, stick to his craft and get better. And he's been put into the biggest most important storyline in wrestling right now. So he needs to show up, show out, and you know, like I said, this is it for him. He could get cut if he fails at this one because this is a huge opportunity for success. It's ready made. Look what it's done for Sammy, and he can be this year's Sammy. So yeah, he definitely needs to stay on his P's and Q's. Just leave the women alone and do his thing in the ring and
leave his porn star girlfriend alone, Greg. What are you talking about?
hey, put a ring on it and just close up shop to all others and do the right thing, Matt. But no, he's too good in the ring to be stuck on the sidelines for something like that. So I'm hopeful that he does that and we get another year of bloodline juiciness.
Let's get into our AEW news, and then we'll take our final break before our last call. Kind of get to these because this is huge. I mean, this is finally Tony Khan's huge announcement, Greg. Kind of lived up to the hype because Wembley Stadium, all in August 27th, and then apparently they're still going to run All Out the next weekend. So that's 2 weekends that they're going to try to run, shows back to back. Big pay-per-view shows, Greg. You think about Wembley Stadium. This is an 80,000 seater-ish, maybe even more. But you could probably get the crowd there because this is their first European show. So that'll be good to kind of get, all the European side of things. But I'm really curious to see what there's going to be, who will be there, what they're going to do. Some people brought up, man, if Drew McIntyre's on the outs, Greg, you're Tony Khan on that speed dial saying, hey, we'll make you the marquee. But what did you think about the announcement of All In London and then running All Out Chicago the next weekend? That is a lot to do in 2 weeks.
Yeah, they can definitely handle it. I mean, these guys been there, done that. They've done, wrestled multiple shows in a day, so I have no problem. They can handle the workload. But
it's the storyline aspect. I think that's a lot to ask.
True.
Trying to push stories and try to get the characters and work all the right, things in a week.
Yeah, it's not a surprise they're going to London, but Wembley Stadium, like you said, 80,000 people. For certain soccer matches, they can fit another 20,000 in there, so they can get a legit 100,000 people in there. I was like, there's no way they're going to fill even half of that. For as great as they are right now, they're still only, barely 4 years old, and are we going to expect 50,000 people to come? I don't. I think they'd be lucky to get 20,000 in there. But
also, you got to remember, Europe is a big country, Greg.
Very true.
Big continent, sorry. So, and this is the first show there, so you feel like you'll get a lot of those fans, from Germany, from Austria, from Denmark, Finland, France. I mean, Spain, Portugal. So,
I'm with you on that, but
I could see 50. I could see 40 to 50 easily, actually.
That's the thing. I don't know if they have that global reach yet. I mean, if WWE was doing it, I totally expected it to be full. But AEW, I'm not so sure about it. I mean, talking about homegrowns and indie talent, and I don't know. I mean, 50,000 is if they do it, I'll be impressed. But I don't think they'll be able to get anywhere close to filling that stadium. And I don't want to see tarps over the top 4 or 5 rows. That's going to be a bad look.
You might have to shoot it production-wise, different angles to kind of see. Or do the old, I know people have done cardboards. I think during the pandemic, they were doing cardboard cutouts of people. Remember, you could even, you could buy a seat and have your cardboard cutout there. But, right. I understand the qualms. And I think my bigger qualm is you're running All Out the next weekend. That's a lot of storylines to create. I guess you would just have a lot of carryover,
Yeah.
honestly. But I think it's going to be something to watch, though. That I think that's the biggest thing. And like you said, where is the reach at? So, but if there's one guy that has some reach, Greg, we did see him. It's official. It sounds like he wasn't going to. There was possibility he was going to go WWE. The Vince McMahon could have played a factor, but they also had plans in place for him. I think Triple H was all in on him, but not a big surprise. I said all along, Greg, it would have been a pipe dream, but he's going to go all elite, and probably be there and carry the brand, and help get the brand back going, and do his own Bullet Club thing. So we'll see more Bullet Club members, Greg, in AEW. We are Juice Robinson's there. Now I guess we got to get the guys from Impact Wrestling. I think Chris Bay is a Bullet Club member there. So we're just the Bullet Club just keeps showing up at different places. But talk about this signing real quick about All Elite. I think this is huge for them. Gets them some momentum back that they had kind of lost.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious to see if he's that good. I mean, we've seen a couple matches in AEW with Jay White, and he just looks pretty, average to me. I didn't see anything that spectacular. I know the reputation of the Bullet Club, but I've never really seen the Bullet Club in action. And so now we got two members who are legitimately there. I think Juice Robinson is official in AEW too. So there's that, and to bring in more members and actually, like, we need more factions, but actually create a Bullet Club faction. This would be the spot to do it. And so that's probably why he chose AEW over WWE, so he could do that. I know Adam Cole was once part of a Bullet Club member too, right? So
Yep.
maybe just something like that, since Undisputed Era is not going to happen, and just set a modern, national Bullet Club, chapter in AEW. So I want to see it and what it looks like, and how they are, because I haven't had any exposure to Bullet Club, as a whole, like they were in Japan. So you got my curiosity for sure.
So we kind of brought it up right away. We already saw Jay White, step up. He came out to help Juice Robinson. They knocked out Ricky Starks. So that went to a no contest. House of Black, they keep rolling along. It looked like Los and Abrivos are next up, though, for LIJ is next up for House of Black, Greg. Any thoughts on House of Black kind of rolling through Best Friends and Orange Cassidy?
I'm still a fan of it. Love it. House of Black, they just look the part. I mean, there's trios champions. They'd be the first team I pick.
Yeah.
And that's even with my Lucha Brothers as part of a potential 3-part team. I don't know where Pac has disappeared to. He's injured or whatever. But, I'd rather have them as a tag team anyway. Yeah. And they've found their spot with the ROH championships. So I'm loving House of Black, and the promos they're cutting. They're picking some good fights, and they're like they're rolling along. They need to be at the top of the card because they're that good. So, and now something's popping off with Matthews and Orange Cassidy. It's going to be interesting to see how that's
going to face off next. They'll face off this coming Wednesday for the title, so that will be something to watch there. We did see Jamie Hayter win. Ruby Soho possibly coming next for her. Jamie Hayter was at the Square Circle Expo yesterday, Greg, and had a nice crowd in and out of her room, because she had her own little room, just like MJF, which I'll talk about in my last call, how MJF's little meet and greet went. But Jamie Hayter was there, so cool to see that. And then we'll get Ruby Soho. How about the Acclaimed and rejecting, the Jericho Appreciation Society? We also saw them kind of team up, though, just to kind of see if they can happen. So it looks like the Acclaimed. We're going to need some more members for the Acclaimed, though, aren't we? kind of
I
help
think
out
so.
against this Jericho. There's too many members. So
Yeah, definitely. They're going to take beatdowns every week. But we knew what was going to happen. There was no way they were going to join, and this just sets up the new feud. But they definitely do need to recruit somebody else coming in, and to even up the sides.
mhm.
But I like where this is going. Acclaimed has lost some steam. Um, you know, competing with smaller, tag teams, things like that. So a good high level feud with JAS is, just what Dr. ordered, and get their mojo back. So, all for it, and let's see who they pull in to be partners. Maybe it's going to be FTR. Maybe it's going to be, um, somebody on that level. So
We also had MJF Day, Greg. He got the key to the city. He got to sing "Pennies from Heaven." I still can't believe that was a segment, but whatever. Probably a segment that ran on a little too long, though. Just to get to Jungle
definitely.
Boy, eventually, taking him out. So he has good singing voice, though. I mean, so yeah. So
It
that's
was,
all. That's my only comment on. Like I said, I think that was one of those. Okay, let's wrap this up because this thing is going too long, and I don't see where it's going. So
just a parade for MJF in his hometown. I got it. Um,
had to
the
talk about
song
the
was that.
teacher, his old
Yep.
teacher.
It was weird, because they raised the little curtain, and the little 5-piece band is back there and playing,
Yeah,
old time music, and I'm like, what is this? And
almost like a talk
um,
show.
right, and the song was interesting, but I expected somebody to cut in on it a lot sooner,
Yeah,
and they did enough with showing the footage of him getting the key to the city earlier. I mean, they didn't need to
yeah.
redo it in the ring. Um,
That guy
so
got
yeah,
some heat, didn't he?
yeah, we
Whatever
got some
that,
big heat.
whoever the controller of the city or whatever they called him.
Yeah, well, he was the mayor, right? So
Oh,
the
was it the
mayor
mayor? Okay, I can't remember if
of
they said
Oyster
mayor
Bay.
or yeah, I couldn't remember what they said. Um,
Yeah, and the Taz was playing it. I was like, I know that guy. He's not the most
he's
liked
shady. Yeah,
person. Yeah, so that was a funny part of it. But yeah, I think that went way too long. But um, the props to Sammy for following that up with a great promo and kind
hmm
of um, you know bagging on it, and get he didn't get the crowd on his side, but amazing promo by Sammy.
gets
Um,
to beat Commander. I think this is a match he's been pushing for a while. So cool to see him get that match. I think a Ring of Honor guy and Commander are
mhm,
independent guys. So
yeah,
Hook got a win, Greg, and I think we saw what if Matt Hardy finally steps away from the firm, which was long needed. So good on that. Um, what about the Brian Danielson stuff with the screwdriver?
well, it's just adding to the level of brutality of the BCC.
Yeah,
They've been. I would say they remind me of the original Horsemen,
yeah,
but I think it's more like the original Wolfpack or the original NWO,
yeah,
because until the locker room banded together against them,
yeah.
they ran roughshod and they destroyed everybody in their path, and they were very violent and brutal with how they did it.
Yeah. I
And
think it's interesting though that they're harping on the wrestler aspect, Greg. I guess that's going to be the point though. But then they're going to start using these, you know, violent techniques.
mhm,
The screwdriver. So, is somebody going to out wrestle them finally to kind of bring them down?
yeah, and so I like it. I'm kind of a sadist anyway. I love horror movies and
Yeah.
gore and stuff like that. And it's
Something
that
about people
was
and
kind of
eyes
a
though lately, right? The last few years, we had Rey Mysterio get his eye taken out. We had um, um, Alistair Black get his eye taken out. What's with going with the eyes, the eyeballs, I guess. But
I know. I could tell what they were doing.
Moxley had the eye patch right for a little bit.
Yep.
With him and Jericho, was that a fireball to the eye? Maybe.
No, I think he took the spike off of his
That's right. Okay.
shoulder pad.
Did somebody take a fireball once to the eye though? Keith Lee, maybe. They did have that weird, but I guess that was NXT. But
I think that was that Action Andretti though. He took the fireball to the face.
Yeah, maybe so.
But
something with eyeballs just seems always come into play.
Yeah, I couldn't tell where the screwdriver was going because they did the thing and there was no blood, and I was like, okay, where are they putting this screwdriver? But
yeah, I kind of remember when Orton did it to Jeff Hardy and he took out the earring. That was pretty.
Yeah.
Now that was legit. That wasn't a that was So, and then FTR looks like they will be back in the good graces of AEW. Greg, I think their April plans are set. They're going to be AEW bound for a little bit. So they defeat the Guns. The Guns get the big entrance, Greg. So I guess we should have saw it coming. That they lose. They got 50 Cent song. And then, and the one Gun I always forget, I can still forget who's who, but the one loves Shawn Michaels, doesn't he? Always coming out like Shawn Michaels' gear. So, but FTR, I think we saw that. I wasn't really sold on them going to WWE, Greg. So it doesn't really surprise me that they're, back in the fold of AEW.
No, but it's not a surprise at all. That's kind of what I expected of them. I've never seen them going back to WWE and making an instant impact. It would have been great. But this is, the new next big card for themselves, and they've been great at it. The people, they're way over. They're mega over.
Yeah.
So, why, leave now and, go back to the uncertainty of WWE and, not knowing if, how much Vince is going to have his, hands in the mix and, stick with the sure thing. So I agree with them that staying in AEW was the right thing.
Yeah. And then we also had a lot happening on Friday night. We had Rampage and then we had Battle of the Belts. So here's some of our winners, Greg. Hook just beats Ethan Page again. And, just beats him in some match. So the Acclaimed and, Jericho Appreciation Society pick up a win. Darby Allin picks up a win. How about Julia Hart over Anna Jay? Kind of surprised, right, to see Julia Hart pick up a win?
No, I was impressed with it. I mean, it was a really good main event, and I loved her entrance. Doing the kind of Scarlet Bordeaux thing, it looks like she's trying to sing her own entrance music.
Yeah.
But loved the outfit and the entrance, and the House of Black, sponsored, ring moment, and the blackout and her on the ropes, and it looked great, and it would end up being a great match. And I expected her to have some, that dark side and some new, finish that is House of Black-ish. So, yeah, I liked it.
Yep. And then, Battle of the Belts, Orange Cassidy picks up win. We did talk up he'll go against Buddy Matthews on Wednesday night. Jade Cargill goes 55-0, Greg, beats Billy Starks, the high schooler. Fresh off of prom. She was on spring break. I saw a little promo just scrolling through Twitter where, she's like, I don't want to be defined anymore by, being a kid and being a teenager. I'm a wrestler. So I think we're going to see big things from her in the next few years, Greg, if not sooner. So good on her to get that match too against Jade. So I think, I guess I did miss on Dynamite that we had RJ City host like a therapy session or something like that between Jade and Taya about whose move is whose, possibly lawsuit coming in. So I still think I want Taya to take off that title off her, Greg.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. And it's taking them off for them to get to the right person. I'm sure they had, other plans or other names in mind, but you know,
I mean, Stat Later
Tyler,
was my first idea, but
yeah,
she just has knees of knees of rubber, unfortunately.
yep. So Taya's a great call, and you know, you need to get Gate or Jade up to the
Next
in
level.
picture for the main title.
Yeah.
So you got to pass it off to somebody, and why not? You know, somebody like Taya who's legit and pretty much is using the same finisher. So, um, yeah, I'm all for it.
And then your Lucha Bros picked up a good win at the end of the night. So, yeah, that was Battle of the Belts 6. Do you think we're going to keep going with all these numbers after it, Greg? Are we going to try to get up to Battle of the Belts 100 or something like that? Or maybe after 10, they just kind of stop the numbers game?
Well, I don't know. Everybody else is doing the numbers thing, so
Yeah.
you know why not? This is their thing.
Yeah, so. Let's do a quick commercial break, and then we'll get the last call, and then we'll roll out of here so you can enjoy your Easter day. So, last commercial break for Sean Nugent, our rock star realtor.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Dan over at BWSPORTS1.com and Black and White Sports. And I'm wondering if you're ready to buy or sell that home, now's the time, and I got just the person for you. Mr. Sean Nugent, a.k.a. Rockstar Realtor himself. 317-503-8322. Put that home on the market. Get into your dream home with this man. Talk to Sean at Talk to Tucker today, 317-503-8322, and make sure you tell him the boys over at BWSports1.com sent you.
Alrighty, I think I'll start with my last call, Greg. It's all going to be about Squared Circle Expo, third year of it happening. I met a lot of people. Let's see, so Friday night, the big call there was MJF. He signed my picture, Greg. Very, very low key stuff. He was the heel that we expected him to be. He signed some people's figures and threw them on the ground. Another story I heard was somebody had him sign a Darby Allin figure, but he ripped open the package, threw the figure, and then just signed the box. So there you go. The picture taking, when I walked in, there was some people going ahead of me, Greg, and this one couple had their babies with them. A couple of the babies started coughing, and MJF said, "Get those sick kids away from me." And then also, I noticed he said to the guy in front of me, "Oh, you look normal." So that's good, I guess. But on me, normally they do a few pictures just to make sure you're not, blinking. Sorry, yeah, or just looks. So with mine, unfortunately, Greg, he gave me one, and that was it. So mine turned out the way it did, but he was every bit the heel that I expected him to be. But for Squared Circle Expo to get him, I think that was a big, get. So I'm only expecting bigger next year.
Did he insult you?
No, he just literally, I got my autograph. He's like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "Autograph." He's like, "Okay." And then he just walked away, or just signed it real quick. Signed it in a very dark color too, so you can't even see his signature on it, Greg. So that was kind of cool. But
Nice.
I did meet Matt Cardona on Friday. I also have made business cards with my Twitter handle with a QR code. So hopefully Matt Cardona slide in those DMs. But bought some artistry, some comic book looking covers. Already talking to that guy Greg about getting an interview with him for Superkickin with Steven and Greg coming soon. And then there was another artist that I think I'm going to be in touch with. What else? Saturday was all about Moxley. Moxley was there with Renee Paquette, sorry. I was going to do a picture with Renee. Didn't have cash on me at the time because they were cash only. A lot of people were, credit card, PayPal, whatever. But unfortunately, they were cash only. So, and then the ATM ran out of money there, Greg, at the convention because there's one ATM in this hotel. So luckily, I ran to get cash for Moxley. Got a quick autograph. My biggest thing about him, Greg, was he was doing some chew, dip, which was interesting because he had the bottle literally on the table, and I was like, that's kind of disgusting, but whatever. I understand you guys, if you're going to do dip, that's the way you need to dispose of it, but not much to say there. He took a quick picture. Some people did do the shield pose, like the fist out, Craig. I
Right.
I wanted to ask to do that because I've met Roman Reigns and I've met Seth Rollins, so I wanted to complete the trilogy, but we just, I just did a thumbs up pose, which is my default pose, but Tony Storm met her. The night before met Melina, which was cool to see. She was very friendly, very talkative, so that was cool to see. Deanna Perrazzo met her. Also saw Steve Macklin, her husband, there, and just said, "Hey, good luck in your match." Um, he's got a title match thanks to the injury by Josh Alexander. So him and Kushida are going for the Impact World title. So there
Okay.
could be a champ family there if Deanna gets her title back. Mickey James was there, Greg. I already met her, so I didn't do anything with her. Her husband, Nick Aldis, was there, and one of their sons. So I was it's always kind of cool to see the family members, just kind of hanging out there.
Yeah.
Rikishi was there. Mick Foley was there. Gangrel and Christian was there. Jay Lethal, uh, Evil Uno, Ethan Page, Athena was there. I didn't really, we've talked up Athena a few times, Greg, so I didn't really do anything with her. Kevin Nash was there. Demolition was there. The both
Wow. They're
members.
still here.
There's some Tatanka, Brutus Beefcake, Tito Santana. There's a nice old and mixture there. Bushwhacker Luke was there, or no, but whichever one didn't pass away. So, but that was kind of sad to hear, Greg, because the other Bushwhacker, this was going to be one of his first signings ever before he passed away. So that was kind of sad to see. Devon Dudley was there. I heard kind of mixed reviews about interactions with him. Somebody said, because you just talked to a lot of people as you're waiting in lines, Greg. Somebody said Devon didn't even talk. That was kind of,
Jeez.
Rob Van Dam. So I did get my pillars of ECW. So I did a picture with Rob Van Dam, Shane Douglas, Sabu, and Sandman. Then got a picture by herself with Francine, kind of at her table. So got to meet, some ECW alums. Sabu did have a medical emergency there, unfortunately, so he had to be
Really?
taken out. So some people got their refunds yesterday for pro photo ops with him, Greg. But he tweeted out he's okay. But that's kind of the sad thing too. You see these demolition guys, in their paint and just looking their age. And Sabu, I mean, definitely looked. Sandman looked really rough. No offense to him, but still going out there. And I mean, and Mick Foley looked like, a lot of weight put on Greg. So kind of sad to see that. Not that he was ever, a slim guy by any means, but he did look like he put on some weight. So, but MJF was there, Jamie Hayter was there. So the big one was Kurt Angle as well. So I got to meet Kurt Angle, I just got a quick picture signed by him of him and Shane McMahon from King of the Ring when he threw him through the glass. So that's kind of cool to see that. The Acclaimed were supposed to be there. They had to pull out about a month ago. So hopefully next year we'll get to do some scissor action with the Acclaimed next year. But yeah, too much money spent, of course. But hey, you can't take it with you, as they say, Greg. But not enough can be said about. And it's cool to see some of the. I met a couple of people from Twitter. There's a local podcaster here named Wells Mania. That he's a wrestler too locally. So we finally got to connect. Hopefully have him on. And then, like I said, a couple artists that I bought artwork off of because I know I've shown my room a couple times, Greg, but I have a lot of artwork in here. I'm running out of wall space, so I'm going to have to move to another room to display some of this artwork I got and then figure out what I want to do with some of these pictures I have. So, but just a good time. And I emailed the owners, but I guess I got in touch with them too late, Greg. So next, as soon as I kind of see the ball rolling, I'm going to have to make sure I put that request in, see what we can do to, have them on and talk this up. Or I've also talked to Dan about, maybe a table next year for
Nice.
us. So, hey, if you're free next year, maybe we can get you up here. You got the flight aspect, so I can
Yep.
provide room and board if you don't mind sleeping on the couch. I'll give you a
Hey.
blanket, so we can maybe make that happen. But I think it'd be cool. Or I've even thought about maybe volunteering, like volunteering for a shift, and then you get free admission for the weekend, Greg.
Oh,
And
perfect.
then, or there's also a world champion pass that is like a VIP pass. So when there's signings at tables, you can jump the line. So I've almost debated that aspect, probably doing that because it is kind of nice for like the angle line. There was a couple people in front of me that had VIP status, so they got to go in front of me. So and even now the photo ops you get to go to as well. So the pro photo ops I don't really care about VIP because everybody gets through. It's that you just stand there, say hey, smile, do your pose, and then move. It's pretty quick, and then they're good about printing off the pictures right away. About
Nice.
6-7 minutes later. So, and then today I got all the high res. They share a drive with you, so you can get on there and check your picture on a thumb drive and kind of find your picture there. So, I just can't speak highly enough. I think it's a great Midwestern, you know, expo. I mean, they're starting to outgrow this hotel floor that they got, Greg. So they'll be curious to see if they do this same hotel across from the airport. I think it works out because it's by the airport, but they're starting to outgrow it, which is good. So sorry for all the rambling, but yeah, it was a really good day, a couple of days of just being at an expo and being in that environment, which is always cool to be in. So, and then today I'll
Yeah.
celebrate Easter at 2 with the family, eat some ham, and call it a day. So
Yeah, it sounds like a great time, man. I mean, I have never been to an expo yet, so
yeah,
I would definitely be down for coming out and checking one out. Just get me in the mix for when it's going to go down, and I
yep,
can
we
definitely
can get you.
arrange a flight out there. And
Mhm.
if there's a table situation, I'm definitely up for getting the tables. Still deep on spray since he won't
Mhm.
talk, and have a super kicking table for sure.
Live show from
Um,
there, I think, would be cool too.
oh,
Could
that
do
would be
that
amazing.
somehow.
Yeah,
So
maybe pull somebody over to talk. Yeah, absolutely.
mhm.
And so count me up for any of that. Um, I saw your pictures, so it looked like you were having a great time. Meeting everybody. I was telling my girlfriend about the time I big time Matt Cardona at WrestleMania in the merch tent,
Yeah,
and that's when he was Zack Ryder, and
yeah,
he was probably the character that I couldn't stand the most.
yeah.
And so he walked up and was literally standing right next to me, and I looked over at him, and I just thumbed my nose and walked away from him.
And we met him at Access at WrestleMania, and he like this time he was much more friendly. So I was like, I got to give him a second chance just to see.
Yeah,
Obviously, he's in a much different place now, but yeah,
exactly.
my first meet and greet, with him and Tyson Kidd was not. Yeah, he just kind of was like, hey. So
Yeah,
this one was
I
much
wanted
better.
nothing to do with the kid. I walked right away from him.
Yeah,
But like seeing the picture with you two yesterday, I was like, I would totally go up to him and give him props now because what he's done since he left WWE and doing the hardcore thing and doing the GCW stuff. I have mad respect for him now. So if he walked over to you this time, I would definitely dap him up and show him some love. So you know,
and
I would
he's the
just
new Square Circle Expo champion, Greg, because they do a wrestling event last night. They did a wrestling event where they crowned a champion. Last year was Jake Oman, a local wrestler here in town, who we're always on the we're playing the phone tag, as they say, Greg, with me and Jake, trying to get him on here. But hopefully we're going to make it work. He said keep bugging him. So I will be in his DMs slowly, trying to get him on here. But he beat Matt Cardona did beat um, um, Jake Oman for the title. So now I believe that's 7 or 8 titles for Mr. Cardona right now, carrying around. So yeah, cool to see that. Like you said, just turning his character around. What are your plans for the Easter day? You got some church activities to do, Greg, and then Easter lunch.
Yep, exactly. And then, chill out for the rest of the day, and maybe put on some movies, stuff like that, and just gear up for the next week. Yeah, that's going to be about it. Just a good, relaxing, holiday.
Yeah.
So hope everybody's having a great Easter, and after watching us, and then go get your eat on.
Yeah, we'll be back at 11 a.m. next week. Hopefully the news will be a little bit lighter. I mean, I guess it's good to have news to talk up, Craig, but it was definitely bigger news than we expected. So a good week to be a wrestling fan. And we're moving ahead towards Backlash, moving ahead towards Double or Nothing. I mean, that weekend, like we said, Greg, is going to be busy because we'll have the Kings and Queens tournament in Saudi Arabia. We'll have Double or Nothing live from Las Vegas the next day. And now we're also going to have NXT Battleground that same night as AW Double or Nothing. So really curious to see what direction, are we going to get a fatal 4-way with, the pillars of AEW? It looks like it's going that way. And then, of course, Battleground, are we going to maybe see, maybe like a war game style type match? Because that's what it feels like it should be. Some teaming up of different characters. But I'm kind of curious to see what they'll do with Battleground and NXT. But enjoy your Easter. Go fill up on eggs. Go fill up on all the ham. Enjoy the Easter masses if you go to that. And we will talk to you guys next week. So have a great weekend.
Peace.